He gets a remold, and I don't, Hasbro? Coop harder, Galvatron! What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series 86 number 31 Leader Class Galvatron, which is a figure I should have reviewed way earlier this year, but decided not to. I was thinking of doing a 2-in-1 Reviewdeo with this guy and the new Studio Series Megatron, but that never happened, so here I am, deciding to give this figure his own Reviewdeo. Other things I want to clear up. As you noticed, I already started doing reviews of 86 figures, even though it's not 2026. Which in previous videos, I stated that I was going to save up a whole bunch of 86 figures for reviews during 2026, which was the 40-year anniversary of Transformers the movie. I decided I'd make an exception for this guy and the Studio Series Blaster, since this figure came out this year, and so did the reissue for Blaster, of course. Okay, so back to this guy. I remember we got the leaked listings that we were going to get a Studio Series 86 Galvatron, and I thought that was pretty cool. We were just hoping he was going to be a new mold. Although I'm sure there were plenty of people who guessed it was going to be a straight up repaint. I was hopeful he was going to be a brand new mold, but I was disappointed. Whatever, the repaint's not so bad. Before we take a closer look at the figure, we'll take a quick look at the packaging, but before we do that, this video's Bible verse is from Psalm 37 verse 28, and it reads, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him." With that being said, let's take a quick look at the packaging. Much like Blaster, the box art for Galvatron is the older packaging, just before they changed it up earlier this year. On the front is this nice artwork of Megatron in his alt mode. On the top is the Transformers the movie logo. On the left side of the box shows an artwork of Megatron in his alt mode, only it's more zoomed in. Same thing for the right side of the packaging, only it's a little more zoomed out. And then the back of the box shows an artwork of what you get inside. With that out of the way, we can move back to the figure. Another similarity with the original version of Galvatron, much like the original version of Blaster, is that they both first released as War for Cybertron Kingdom figures, only Galvatron came out sooner. Anyways, after 4 years, the painting and sculpting is alright, I guess. The sculpting is pretty much the same as the King of Sea Galvatron. Obviously, since this is the Studio Series version, they did a complete reshade of the purple parts of this figure. Meaning this time around, this figure looks a lot more bluish purple than it does reddish purple, if that's the right way of saying it. Also, the gray and dark gray parts are repainted in a more cartoonish gray. The kibble is the exact same. And to talk about the kibble for a brief second, I always found the treads on the back of the arms to be the most annoying. At least with the kibble on the back and on the back of the legs, they would stay tabbed in a little more securely than these two pieces here. Because realistically, after messing around with this figure for a while, you'll be met with the treads sticking out like this. And in my opinion, that's a little annoying. However, this does look like an issue that can be solved with the proper screwdriver. Oh yeah, these things are kind of annoying too. In terms of QC, for my copy, I find the joints to be okay, I guess. They're mostly tight, but at the same time okay. Unless, stuff like that happens. Other than that, everything else is pretty good. Moving on to accessories, starting off with his fusion cannon, which is not made of clear plastic, unlike the King of Sea Galvatron's fusion cannon. Also, this thing is humongous. The next accessory he comes with is what appears to be the shape of that ship that Unicron gave him. There's two of these things, by the way. For some reason, these accessories do not go inside Galvatron's hand all the way. I'm not sure if that's intentional or that's just a flaw for my copy. But they do store on the back of Galvatron. Another thing with these two is that it almost looks like they connect to each other, forming this thing, but they barely stay. Except now that I have my camera facing the two for some reason, now all of a sudden they want to stay connected. And trust me, I've tried to connect these two together plenty of times, and 9 times out of 10, they immediately snapped off from each other. The last accessory that this figure comes with is the necklace, holding the Matrix, which is removable. Here's what he looks like with his necklace. And then lastly, here's what he looks like with all of his accessories. Moving on to articulation, ball joint at the head, full rotation at the arm, bend at the shoulder, bicep swivel, double bend at the elbow, wrist swivel, the wrist can also move up and down, waist swivel, the front skirt moves out, so do the side skirts, the legs can spread, the leg can move forward, can move backwards, thigh swivel, bend at the knee, the foot is on a pivot, And that's pretty much it for articulation. Now moving on to size comparison. Age of Extinction Galvatron, Kingdom Galvatron, Kingdom Cyclonus, Scourge, Sweep, Bone Crusher, Scrapper, Scavenger, Mixmaster, Hook, Long Haul, Starscream, Legacy Blitzwing, Megatron, and then lastly here he is next to a bunch of figures of characters that did appear in 86. Not all of these figures are officially Studio Series 86 themed, such as Blitzwing and Cyclonus. But I believe next year we will be seeing a Studio Series Cyclonus and Blitzwing. I'm not sure if they'll be repaints or remolds. I'm sure they're just going to be straight up repaints. Starscream is getting an update, and also any other Decepticon that appeared in 86 will be getting their own Studio Series 86 figure next year, except for the 3 Conehead Seekers. Aside from that, be sure to leave a comment down below which Decepticon that's coming out next year are you most excited for. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below which figure, out of all the figures I have over here, do you like the most. And now let's get down to transformation. To start off, go ahead and straighten out all the limbs, and then to work on one side of the arm, you're going to go ahead and fold in the hand, close the lower part of the arm onto the other part of the arm by snapping this tab onto that slot, disconnect the tread from that slot, bring it out and forward, same goes for the other arm. And now let's work on the legs, starting with this side over here. You're going to bring this purple piece out, make sure that this slot pegs it onto this tab, close in the heel, rotate the leg to where the front of the foot is facing outwards. Once you've done the same thing with the other leg, go ahead and connect the 2 legs together. Moving back to the arms, bring the side skirt out, disconnect this whole assembly, bring it all the way out, and then bring it down. Once you've done the same thing for the other side, we're going to come back up to this back. We're going to go ahead and detach it just a bit, and then bring this tip down, tilt the tube slightly forward, open up this piece, which reveals a gap where the head will go inside. Bring down the chest, bring down this piece, and then go ahead and bring this whole tube down. Also, bring this part down too. Bring this whole assembly up, just make sure that these 2 tabs pegging onto these 2 slots like so. Connect these front panels onto those gray chunks, realign these limbs to your liking, come back over here, bring this whole assembly down, bring this panel down, come back to the fusion cannon, disconnect the orange barrel, and we'll leave this gray piece out for now. Plug the barrel onto the front, and here you have Galvatron in his alt mode, which I can't tell if it's supposed to be a tank or an anti-aircraft cannon. It's kind of more like an anti-Starscream cannon if you really think about it. Anyways, this looks nice. That is until you look at the bottom, and maybe the back too. Oh yeah, this thing has wheels, so yeah, it could roll, kind of like a tank. But you could also mess with the limbs in a way where you can have this guy facing upwards, kind of like an anti-aircraft cannon. For accessory storage, the gray part goes on the top, the useless accessories go on the side of the tube, as this slot pegs it onto this tab, like so. And then lastly, you just go ahead and slide the necklace right there, and then there should be a tab which pegs in onto that slot. And there you have Galvatron's alt mode, fully decorated with a whole bunch of weapons stored onto him. And I think this kind of looks better. Also, you could do this if you wanted, or this, but I personally prefer the normal way of storing the accessories, to be honest. For a brief comparison, here he is next to the original Kingacy Galvatron in alt mode, here he is next to the Studio Series 86 Megatron in tank mode, and then lastly here he is next to the 2. Since I usually don't really have anything else to say here, be sure to leave a comment down below which version of the alt mode of the Kingacy Galvatron mold do you like more. The Studio Series, or the Kingdom, or Legacy. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I have to say for the Transformers Studio Series 31 Leader Class 86 Galvatron. Overall, as disappointing as it is that this wasn't its own mold, this is still a pretty solid repaint. Would I recommend you pick this figure up? Well, only if you haven't picked up the Kingacy version. Otherwise, I'd say stick with that figure, because this is pretty much the same thing, just obviously different paint apps. If you're looking to pick this figure up, I believe he's available over on Amazon. I am aware that he was put in shelves around the time he originally first retailed, but at that time I didn't really go to Target or Walmart stores, so I never really saw this guy out in the wild. But if you guys did, be sure to leave a comment down below. Also, let me know what you think of this guy. Do you like him? Are you going to pick him up? Do you not like him? Are you not going to pick him up? And if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another upload. Let me know how I did at this Reviewdeo. And most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless. Teo! Also, I just noticed 86 Optimus and 86 Galvatron have the same number. Interesting.